And we're live, House Party 5v5. We got the Premier League Season 4, Week 3 coming at ya. I'm Thunderdome.
And I'm Deck Club Ace. Alright, we are already getting these picks and ban, and we have on the blue side Zani Superstars and the red side Vanquished. Seeing that Veigar banned out, surprise, surprise, Veigar is suddenly incredibly powerful with a few very minor buffs.
And we got the Zed target ban against Hamilton. He's a pretty proficient Zed player. His rank stats right now, he's got a 60% win rate on that champion. They don't even want to give him the chance to snowball any advantages off of a comfort pick.
Well, but it's kind of a surprise because I would have expected them to ban the Orianna. So my only assumption is that maybe they're planning on picking Orianna. We haven't actually seen Hamilton play Zed very much recently because Zed was kind of in a weak spot. But maybe he's coming back now that a couple of other champions are kind of falling behind. But we have seen Hamilton picking Orianna a lot, and Ahri and stuff like that.
Alcantos also likes to play Orianna and Ahri, so I guess their mindset could have been take out the assassin counter pick, and then whichever of the control AoE style mid laners he doesn't pick, they get the other one. So maybe they just don't have a preference as to which mid laner, they just don't want him to have an assassin. And we've got the instant Thresh lock for Zani Superstars. Great pick in the current meta. He can engage and he can heal. He can save the teammates with a Dark Lantern. There's a lot that Thresh offers for your team.
The thing about Thresh is that when we're in a meta of like Juggernauts and things like Vayne, having somebody who has multiple forms of CC is very strong for the AD carries, who, as we know, until their marksman update, are kind of in a poor spot. They're one of the... It's hard to call them the weakest role. They are very good at carrying, but they are very difficult to play because of the meta that they are in right now.
You have to have a team to peel for the AD carry.
But Calvin picking up the Vayne for his team. Rakari has played quite a bit of Vayne, although, in general, it seems that he's been favoring Jinx more often than not. So we'll see if maybe he's picking that knowing that Americarean is going to pick Jinx for his AD carry, because he is about 400 or so Jinx games.
Yeah, he loves to play that Jinx, and by picking Vayne, you say if your support roams anytime they're not in lane, then Vayne is going to be able to one-on-one Jinx, and she's almost guaranteed to win that fight. Not to mention,
depends though, because whenever you have a Jinx and a Vayne, the Jinx, since she tends to go Infinity Edge so early and she goes for this crit, you're relying very heavily on luck to win your fights.
That's fair enough. And we got Cat the Cougar. Oh, sorry, you got it.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Cat the Cougar has played a decent bit of Lee Sin. They got to counteract the late game scaling with Vayne, with early pressure that Lee will be able to output from the jungle and through his pressure, or he can just go into the enemy's jungle and look for that one-on-one scenario where Lee Sin is super powerful.
We do see Shockwave picking up the Renekton, and I actually very much like Renekton in the current meta, particularly as a Juggernaut, even against Maokai, as was picked for Vanquished, because Renekton is the type of champion that even if he's behind, he can still build tank and be a nuisance. He can go right on your AD carry and provide a lot of disorientation between his stun and just being really tanky with the heal that he can get.
And he also has an AoE damage too, and you see a lot of Renekton's build Sunfire Cape, so the longer they leave him alive on the backline, the more damage he's going to output, and he just offers so much distraction because he's one of those tanks who has a high damage output.
I do see a Vlad and an Echo being picked up. I'm not sure... I guess that's going to be Hamilton mid with Vladimir, which means it's going to be up to Alcantos to counter it. And I think he might have a good counter for this. I don't know, but my assumption is that he's played against it at least a couple of times.
Yeah, with how much experience Alcantos has at this game, definitely he knows what he's getting into. A lot of times we see Vladimir as a counter pick to Azir, so maybe they're trying to discourage Alcantos from picking
Yeah, and I think the counter picking against Azir is a little bit less relevant now. He is still strong, but he's kind of slowly falling behind, which might lead to a rise of assassins again, but maybe not. We do see
And
the
a
Syndra locked
rise.
in. And a rise, yeah. We do see Syndra locked in. Syndra is pretty good against Vlad. Has a decent amount of burst, benefits from building Merle and Amakan, so see how that works out for him. And overall, just looking at the team comps, they're kind of even in what they want to do. They both want to be like skirmishing team fighting teams. Neither one is like a siege comp or a poke comp or anything like that.
That's absolutely right. Jinx wants to get the resets in a fight, but their team isn't set up to take a full 5v5 head-on. It's not a full dive comp, and it's not a peel back 5v5. So the skirmishes, the echo is going to be extremely important in predicting those scenarios, but Lee Sin has the ability to jump in and jump out extremely quickly, so a lot of mid and early game jungle pressure is probably going to be key to those, and having Renekton able to push that top wave in against Calfin on Maokai might be key to having that early rotation, whereas on the mid side, Alcantos is probably going to be able to push the wave against Hamilton if he chooses to, so he can get that early roam as well.
And one of the things that you usually see in this type of matchup top lane is that Maokai is going to... Early game, he's either going to be able to bully Renekton a decent amount but be low on mana, or he'll be able to be relatively safe but not be able to push the lane up. Once it gets to about the mid-laning phase, where they start getting close to one of their first items, then it starts showing, oh, well, maybe Renekton's a little bit better. Maokai tends to go for a tankier item first, whereas Renekton tends to go for like a Tiamat first to abuse his animation canceling on his W. But overall, it's just going to be really back and forth for the first probably about 6 to 10 minutes of the game in top lane, depending upon whether or not the junglers decide to gank there. Looking down at the bot side, we have both of the teams have picked AD carries who kind of want to farm a little bit, and both of them picked supports who can encourage good manners from the other team.
Yeah, both supports pulling a lot of respect to the zone controls and the all-in potential. Braum offers a little bit more defense at his carry, put up the Unbreakable Shield and block Jinx's zap or her Super Mega Death Rocket, whereas Thresh will guarantee that Jinx will be able to get out okay even if she catches a stun.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it's going to go. I am very interested in the mid lane because the Vladimir versus Syndra matchup is kind of weird, because people say, oh, well, obviously Vladimir wins, he has sustain, and he can dodge with his pool, he can dodge the ultimate. But that's not necessarily true, because he needs to use his ultimate to avoid a lot of the damage that she'll put out. Her ult does a lot of damage, not his ultimate, his pool. Her ult does a lot of damage, but at the same time, if he doesn't pool any of the damage, if he doesn't pool to get away at all, then he'll take a lot of poke before then, so she can just wait for him to come up. So I'm expecting an early Zhonya's or something to counteract getting hit with that. Anyway, we are getting close to our delay timer, so we will be taking a short break, and we will get back to you guys on the Rift. Catch you then. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first game of the day for the Premier League. We have on the blue side, Zani Superstars, and on the red side, Vanquished. I am Deck Club Ace, and I am, of course, being joined by Thunder.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Super excited to be here. It's a beautiful day out. The sun is shining, the raptors are chirping, Gromp is barking, and we got the red side, Vanquished, putting a 5-man possible invade onto the bottom side of the map right off the bat.
I don't know if Grump barks. I think he more gurgles or burps.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but Vanquish gets spotted out by a ward in the tri-bush.
It looks like they're not realizing they're being spotted out, though, but spamming those nice SKT marks there. I am, of course, a fan. Very pleased.
Who isn't a fan of SKT when it comes down to it? They're just so methodical in their play, and their individual skills are just miles ahead of the rest. It's hard not to be in awe when you watch them.
And it looks like... Not actually sure what we're going to be seeing here. We do have a number of starts could happen, and it looks sort of like Calvin is going to be starting at the Wolves solo instead of splitting it with Lee Sin as we might normally see. And it looks like Shockwave is going to opt to not take any camp. Or no. It looks like he's going to be joining Jixer to help out in the jungle there. So they will be sharing camps. It will just take him a little bit longer.
Yeah, Echo's early jungle is kind of weak in a sustain standpoint. Even when he starts with parallel convergence and gets the shield, he does typically get rather low. So he doesn't want to be caught with a bad leash and have Cat the Cougar find him alone and get the easy one-on-one first blood.
Looks like they did end up actually taking that camp together. They will have the blue buff being passed over to Cat the Cougar. And they'll just keep doing the share. Alright. Both bot laners, of course, picked up their respective camps. Although Rakari seems to have beaten Americari into level 2.
He's got so much poke down already. But the shield's up and he's blocking a lot of the rocket damage as well.
But the thing about whenever you're playing Jinx against Braum, it seems like it would be a perfect pick, right? Because, oh, you can block the auto attacks really well, but the Jinx rocket still detonates on Braum. So the first one will get eaten, but everyone after that, if you're standing next to Braum, you still take the explosion damage.
Yeah, it's a sneaky little bit amount of damage that comes in there. Calvin gonna match C Shockwave in levels because of the early jungle take, but he's taking so much damage. He's just standing in the middle of the minion wave. Calvin is chunking him down. Not what you want to see from a early level play with Renekton.
See, I was expecting him to do that when he hit level 3 because the wave was pushing towards him and he would hit level 3 around the time that he wants to be doing that.
He's got the stun down, he's spinning the blades, but the tree is pretty resilient. His minion wave is catching up too. Both of the top laners going extremely low.
So, what I was getting at was if he had waited until he was level 3 to pull that maneuver, he would have had Slice and Dice, and he would have been able to get out after doing all that damage. Oh, looks like Lee Sin's coming in the gang.
Speaking of slicing down the trees, Cat the Cougar's coming in behind to help him out. And you land the resonating strike. Oh, teleport is already being channeled by the mid laner. Here comes Hamilton, but he can't really do much except zone them off, saving CS Shockwave's hide for a little bit extra time.
Unfortunately, you gotta look at what they gave up for that, because they did just use Hamilton's teleport, leaving Alcantos to kind of farm a little bit mid. Oh, Jix are coming down mid, bot lane. Oh, no, he missed.
Oh, Hamilton getting caught out by Cat the Cougar. Resonating strike goes through. He's pooling his blood, but Cat the Cougar's hot on the chase. He's spamming the SKT skin. Oh, a nice flash juke from Hamilton to get some backup from Shockwave. Now Cat the Cougar finds himself in an inopportune location around the blue buff, but he's gonna hop to Alcantos to safety.
But just looking at what they blew top lane to even attempt to make that counter gank happen with the teleports, and it is a good idea because they do have the ability to do that with their teleports. Hamilton used his teleport to make sure that Shockwave didn't die, but Shockwave had already used his flash to get away. He was already safe. So all that they were doing at that point was hopefully being able to turn around and kill Calvin or kill Cat the Cougar. And Cat the Cougar was at relatively full health. He'd taken a little bit of damage on the way in, but besides that, there was very little chance of actually getting anything from that.
And then Alcantos gets a pretty large CS advantage. For only 5 minutes into the game, he's up 13. And he's definitely got the experience advantage as well.
He also has the flash advantage because since Hamilton got low trying to solo fight Cat the Cougar after staying for a little bit too long, Cat did have to actually dash out of there, but Hamilton got really low and had to flash over a wall. It was a good flash, but overall it just didn't work out very well.
Yeah, a lot of things burn for not much presence in the lane. The all-in is out, however, Rickeri gets trapped in the Flame Chompers. Boss needs one more stack till he's stunned, but they are able to zone him off. Amerikorean still dishing out the damage, canceling the auto animations with the zap as well.
Slowly but surely.
Simram, you're a little too far up, friend.
It looks like Cat the Cougar is trying to force a lot of these ganks because when they had gone in, it was already too late. Like, they didn't catch anybody with the Winner's Bite. They didn't catch anybody with a Condemn or anything. So, I don't know, it was just really awkward to try and continue forcing that. They didn't even get any summoners out of it.
Yeah, Amerikorean dropping the traps at just the right location. Wow, it's just so much zone potential between Thresh and Jing character kits.
And
Shockwave got
showing
level
that
6 first, but he's taking a lot of damage against Shockwave.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about, was that the early game would be kind of towards Calfin, but as they've hit level 6, Shockwave is going to be pulling ahead slowly but surely as he's gotten more ranks into his Call the Meek, which will increase the amount of healing he gets from it.
And he has yet to item up as well. Calfin already picked up a Ruby Crystal, so there's a lot of extra damage. Oh! Hamilton gets caught out by the stun. Cat the Cougar flashes in, but he misses it because it was dodged by the pool, but he drops the ult down and absolutely crushes him. Alcantos getting first blood.
So they had to use 3 summoners for it, but in the end it was worth it. And like I said, sure, Hamilton can use the pool to be able to dodge ultimates, but he can only do that if he doesn't have to dodge something else before he needs to dodge the ultimate.
Yeah, a lot of pressure from Cat the Cougar there. Just throwing out the Resonating Strike made him blow the pool, because otherwise he was going to get hit by it, and then he's dead regardless.
Looks like they did spot out Cat the Cougar with that pink ward, but he will pick it up for himself. Simrim being smart, not really trying to overcommit to anything. They do have the slightest XP lead because of the initial push, but it's not enough to force anything out of it yet. Simrim will hit level 6 first, and they might use something with it, but I'm not entirely sure. They're not in a really good position to do anything with it.
Yeah, they're kind of low down, but Simrim getting played back. The teleport channeling in from behind. Rickeri gonna get out of dodge in the time, but Shockwave's locking down Simrim. Oh, the final hour is popped. He's getting chunked. The second teleport is coming in now. Calvin has already arrived. It gets canceled in the mid lane, though, by a Scatter the Weak. Shockwave going so low. Rickeri gets the third proc. That's a kill for him. Here comes Cat Cougar. American Korean not living much longer. Condemn on boss into the walls. One more auto attack. Cat the Cougar, can you make it out in time? He does.
Look at those health bars. Ugh. Everybody is at a fifth or less of their health. We did see another teleport coming out from Hamilton, but he canceled it. And if he hadn't canceled it, they might have actually turned that around. He did have his ultimate. It's also possible that Alcantos stunned him out because Hamilton was making the mistake of teleporting in the middle of the lane, but, you know.
I'm gonna have to assume it was that. Hamilton honestly had no reason to cancel it. They would have had the number advantage. Unless he was just afraid that they would still get wiped anyways, but like you pointed out, under a 5th HP after juggling the turret, with Hamilton's added pressure, who knows how that could have turned out.
Yeah, I think that it was probably an interrupt. I'm going to assume that Hamilton didn't cancel because he could have gotten in and immediately pooled, and his team could turn around to fight. But, very, very strong play from Vanquished. That was a really good tower dive for 2 additional kills that they didn't necessarily have to get, but, you know, when the option presents itself, you may as well take it, right?
Oh, absolutely. League of Legends is all about pushing your advantages, and Jixer's found one for himself. Alcanto's getting stunned up. Jixer's got the third proc. He's getting sped up. A nice scatter. The Wee's going to push Hamilton off. Can Alcantos live through this? No, Hamilton's going to pull in, get the kill, get himself a blue buff.
I think that was a little bit weird that Hamilton used his flash for that. I mean, I know Jixer could have gotten it himself. He did have his ultimate, but I guess they wanted to give the kill over to Hamilton more than give it to Jixer. But I don't know. I mean, sure, if Vladimir gets ahead, Calvin's doing a lot of damage here to Shockwave.
Oh my gosh, he's going so ham on him right now. He doesn't even care about that minion wave. It's just giving him even more damage for the Maelstrom.
But I guess they did want Hamilton to get a little bit further ahead. He is behind Alcantos right now.
Oh, here comes the Lantern Day. Jixer's in on Rick. He's trying to dodge around. He's singling out America Korean, and he needs one more auto to kill him, and he's not able to get it. Jixer getting stunned by the 4th Winter's Bite Proc. America Korean snipes him with the Mega Death Rocket. That's 2 resets. He gets the double kill.
Wow, that was very unfortunate for Rickari. He got so close to killing America Korean, but health pots are OP.
Oh, wow. And he just had just enough distance to get off the ult safely. At the Cougar and Alcantos making a roam, but at this point they don't have a minion wave poised to dive this turret. It's going to be extremely risky. Oh, that hook was so close.
Close, but no cigar. Kanto's just putting down a little bit of poke on the Hamilton. Not that that'll stop him much, he does have quite a bit of sustain. Shockwave did pick up the Tiamat first. I mentioned it in Champ Select, but I'll mention it again. The Tiamat is picked up often really
Captain
early.
Cougar finding himself between a dragon and the boss's hard place. He dodges the hook, Rickari's here, he's trying to clean up. Vayne is so good at chasing down the enemies, but Jixer's trying to do what he can. Condemn, unfortunately, does not land into the wall, and America Korean shows up just in time.
That was an interesting fight. It's kind of backpedaling and then decided, oh, we don't want to chase because there might be 4 people here. We probably shouldn't do this. But anyway, now that the hype has died down temporarily, as there's no dragon in the foreseeable future, Renekton tends to pick up the Tiamat because whenever he uses his stun from the Ruthless Predator on his W, activating Tiamat will cancel the animation of the stun. So it allows him to get in some extra auto attacks.
Yeah, that animation lasts for so long. He does like a triple-double swing, and that's at least the time of an auto attack.
Kanto's looking to just kind of clear the wave out. His blue buff isn't here anymore, and he's kind of low on mana, low on health. Doesn't really want to be here, but doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah, Hamilton's putting a lot of pressure. However, Calvin is knocking Shockwave all around the place. Picked Renekton to be the bully, but the tables have been turned on him. Hamilton finding Cat the Cougar. Oh, nothing comes of it. He doesn't chase him down.
I think he should have committed to that. There is absolutely nothing that Alcantos can do to stop him.
Yeah, Alcantos was either basing or at quarter HP with no mana.
And they know that Calvin is currently busy fighting Sea Shockwave, so there's no way that that's going to turn into a teleport, because Shockwave will just interrupt him and then slice and dice away.
Yeah, so a little bit of hesitation, showing respect for his enemy team, although just being able to see as much information as we can make the easier decisions when it comes down to that.
It's true.
Jixer
doing a whole lot of damage.
Duking it out in the top lane. However, I guess it's a win for Calvin because he has knocked down the top laner debate. Oh, Alcantos gets a solo kill out of nowhere. We just completely missed that.
No, I didn't miss it. You were just busy looking at the top. Alcantos managed to poke, as I'd mentioned, he poked down Vlad, and then managed to land a stun, and that's all it took. He just ulted and ignited immediately, and it killed him.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
that's how it's done, folks. And what do you think of Malphite? Do you think he's going to turn Catalyst into Righteous Glory to get some more engaged for his team?
Seeing a whole lot of damage coming out from Shockwave, but
they're just duking it out right now. Here comes Cat the Cougar. Shockwave in a little bit of trouble. Oh my gosh, he follows him in with the passageway. Katakura kicks Shockwave back towards the turret, and Calvin's able to pick up the kill when he drops the Maelstrom. However, that's translating to a dragon for the blue side because the jungler revealed the top.
I don't know why Shockwave committed so hard to that. He had to know that something was up if Calvin was willingly fighting him in a losing battle.
Yeah, with low health and mana like that, you've got to question what his motives are. And Dragon traded for top tier 1, first turret of the game, going over to Vanquished.
And Vanquished showing a little bit of strut in their stuff. They've got really good rotation positioning. Cat the Cougar going around a whole lot, more than we might normally expect. He's doing ganks that we normally would say, oh, why would he do that? And we did mention it earlier, like forcing ganks. And then he'll turn around and make ganks that seem forced become good. Like his gank in mid lane, where he got Hamilton to blow the pool for just using the Shockwave. Or not the Shockwave. For using the Sonic Wave. And I don't know, it's working very well for them. At least marginally better than one would expect, given that Jixer is also doing kind of the same thing. And Cat the Cougar hanging out in mid lane. Why not? He's got nowhere else to be.
Yeah, he got a little bit of time on blue buff before he can trade that over to Alcantos, who's going pretty low on mana, despite picking up Athenes to get the extra resist against Vladimir to help sustain him in lane and poking down. Because if you can't put consistent damage out on Vladimir, there's no way that you're going to be able to even get close to pulling him out or killing him. Oh, the Lantern Gate, here comes Jixer. Parallel Convergence a little bit behind on that one. Ricari's going to condemn him into the wall.
That was almost a very snazzy play by Cat the Cougar. Blows a flash to try and kick Hamilton back into Alcantos, but unfortunately, he only manages to kick him to the side.
Oh, Boss lands the hook onto Simran, but Ricari is going ham onto American Korean. He flashes in behind him, condemns him into the wall, picks up a kill. This could be 2. That's the stun from Winter's Bite. The Boss is no longer going down. I mean, no longer going to live. He goes down to Ricari. And Simrim, Ricari picking up yet again another set of kills for themselves. Katacougar, however, is in trouble. Shockwave follows him under the turret, but that might have been a bad idea. Dark Passage is down. He's hit him with the wave. Oh my gosh, Katacougar gonna fly in with style. Resonating strike for victory.
I was really hoping that Shockwave would punish Cat there and use Tiamat and kill him on the way.
That would have been beautiful.
Because he was low enough on health that he would have died to the Tiamat active. And gonna feed this bot wave into the tower, make sure that they deprive Americarene of as much farm as possible.
Yeah, and they're gonna bounce the wave so they're in a safe position, but Simrim is getting chunked out. Ricari gets hit. He gets knocked in by the Chain Chompers. However, Americarene gets stunned again. The teleports are being channeled from both laners. Here comes Shockwave. Jixer's already there. A shutdown for Shockwave. They're on the chase. Is this tree going to go down? Jixer's got parallel convergence. Can he hit the stun? He flashes into it to make sure it lands. The hook followed up by Boss into the plate. Calvin's diving in behind him, knocking him back via Arcane Smash, and he's able to get out alive.
Meanwhile, in mid lane, another solo kill from Alcantos onto Hamilton, and once again, not really getting to use that pool when he wants to.
Alcantos just winning with those mind games consistently, time after time. Boss hooks him. Here comes Cougar to give him some defense, but Calvin is really not in a good spot. Beautiful kickback, stops a parallel convergence stun and the dive altogether.
So, briefly going over mid, because we were watching the bot fight, but basically, we saw Alcantos did the same thing that he did before whenever he solo killed. Uh-oh. Cat being a little bit more aggressive than I think he has any warrant to be.
He has Simrim right there behind him. Ricari's just getting down the lane. However, that would be a 4v3, and Calvin does not have teleport, and is coming up the mid lane right now.
It looks like they're just willing to bait it out. Uh-oh.
Oh, he righteous glorious Papa Hamilton dodges the root with his pool, but he gets scattered because he is weak. power is unleashed and Alcantos picks up the 4th kill of the game.
Well, once again, if only Vlad's pool could be used more than once, he might have a better chance, but there are too many things that he needs to pool to not die. He needs to pool Twisted Advance, he needs to pool Scatter the Weak, he needs to pool Unleashed Power, he needs to pool everything.
He needed to pull this lane matchup because Alcantos is just destroying him as of right now. A 50 CS lead, 3 kills up on him.
Oh,
okay, here comes the siege. Double stun coming in from Alcantos. Jixer is going to be able to pop his ulti, go back in, but he's just prolonging his life. It's not going to last much longer, though, but the turret is still pounding away onto Vanquished. Here comes Hamilton. He wants his cleanup. He flashes in, drops the Hemo Plague. Is Ricari going to go down? I think so with the 3rd proc. However, Calvin, Cougar, and Simrim are able to cancel him out. A 2 for 3, excuse me.
I think that, I like that Jixer decided to go back and potentially get a kill, but at the same time, I think that it was way too risky. He still almost died, and that would have been an even worse trade. They did take a whole bunch of damage to their turret, and at half health, it's not going to take long for Ricari, who is 7-3 right now, and has a 45 CS lead over Amerikorean, to just rip through that tower.
He has a completed static shiv over top of Amerikorean and has a pickaxe as well. The late game of Jinx was supposed to match Vayne's power, but with Vayne so far ahead, Jinx is essentially completely nullified.
Yeah, and we do say one thing, and I did kind of want to mention it because a lot of the community has been talking about it recently. The Baron Rush.
So they're going for the Baron Rush. They know that they're going to be on Dragon. Jixer's going quite low, but he is the smite. He needs to stay alive. It doesn't even look like Vanquished is aware this is happening. Zani superstars are able to sneak in a Baron completely uncontested. However, they might be trading a bottom side turret for it, but with how far behind they are, Baron is absolutely worth it at this point.
I mean, if you think about it, losing the tower for the Baron will suck, but it won't be as bad as, like, losing the tower for nothing and then maybe dying. Like,
well, they might not even be losing it at this point. They're able to get there and power the minions in time, and it looks like they're on the hunt. They do have their top laner with teleport down for another 10 seconds. Shockwave won't be able to make an impact, so they're just here to scare him off while he tries to push that and even up the top side turret.
I see that Zani Superstars made the correct decision and did not continue chasing with their Baron minions forward to potentially get a tower, because that would have been a very poor time to get turned around on.
Yeah, and the thing about Baron is you don't want to just fight when you have Baron. You need to get in a lane, split up, use your advantage, and take turrets where you can, especially when you're at a 5,000 gold deficit. Calvin going ham on the Shockwave, but mid lane, Amerikorean getting popped by Ricari. Boss is probably the next to go. He gets condemned into the wall. The winner's bite is down. Jixer comes in flying with his ultimate, but it's really not to their advantage. He goes down instantaneously. The brawl of the top laners is still going on. They've got 4 people on Vanquish pushing a turret mid without the minion wave. They're going to keep going. However, Hamilton using Baron, trying to take what towers they can. Calvin is on the chase. Shockwave is getting pretty low. He snags him here. He's going to be able to hit him with the Arcane Smash and get the slow. He's still chasing him. 1 more second for Twisted Advance. He follows him through the double slice and dice. He is still on the hunt. These Baron minions are doing a lot of work for Shockwave, though. But it looks like Calvin is about to come up on top of this fight. Can he do it? He is so close. He has a Twisted Advance. Dodged by Shockwave. He uses the flash finally, holding onto that summoner for the very last moment. The lifesteal and Baron minions are enough. No, they are not. Calvin is able to take him down.
That was a fight between tanks. I'm not sure I could call it super incredibly engaging, since it was mostly just how long can I delay before my next slice and dice is up, and is it enough to get away from his Twisted Advance?
He did 2 of them and still got followed by it. That was just, oh my gosh. I
really think that C Shockwave is just kind of a underperforming in the position that he could be playing in because he's not using his Tiamat enough. He's never really canceling the W animation, which is really the only reason you buy the Tiamat. Like, the Tiamat is useful because it gives you some damage, but the canceling makes it really good for trading and dueling. More importantly, anytime you are fighting a Maokai, you should definitely not slice and dice instantly. You should slice, wait a second, then dice. Because slicing will get you out of range of Twisted Advance if you were just barely in range of it. And if he casts it, you get snared, but you can still dice away, and then they can't catch you. But if he manages to Twisted Advance and you slice and dice away, he can follow you the entire duration of it.
Yeah, so just little slight mechanical misplays are giving the advantage over to Vanquished in the top lane. Tiamat can also be used to push waves, but he's lower down in CS. Calvin is this huge tank force that I do not want to reckon with. Oh, Kappa Cougar insects American Korean! Calvin gonna pick him up on the catch side of it. Hamilton is going down, he's cool, but he's not gonna last much longer. Shockwave doing what he can, Rakiri kiting back. Kappa Cougar picks up another kill. A beautiful play from him to initiate that fight, and it translates to the inhibitor.
You gotta know that he's been trying that this whole time. There were at least 3 instances where he flashed or ward jumps to somebody behind them.
Calvin caught out Jixer. However, he's jumping away. Boss catches Simran. He's able to take him out, following up with him. Boss, however, is putting on the zone. He's played 2 people onto the turrets. America Korean snipes him out with the death rocket. However, he was slowed the entire time of the excited duration. Alcanto's getting sniped just barely. He walks out alive. Calvin is going down. He's just trying to buy time for his other teammates so they can get out alive. However, they've got supers pushing into the base and no Nexus turrets. Zani superstars. It's looking grim.
America Korean, you need to stop chasing. Alcantos will kill you.
It has one Dark Sphere away from death.
Like, took 1 Dark Sphere and will possibly die if you didn't back up then.
Shockwave using his teleport to try to pick up some global gold for his team. However, he's probably going to get caught out here. Rakiri found him via Scrying Orb. That's going to be an easy condemn. Yep, it doesn't stun him into the wall, but oh, Alcantos scattering the weak that is the crocodile.
It feels pretty weird whenever you call it easy condemn and then it misses.
Yeah, well, I mean, it stopped him from advancing farther away from his teammates. It didn't get the stun, but
that's true. I do want to point out, though, in that last little fight where they did manage to push them off of the Nexus, despite losing both the Nexus turrets, that was really good synergy coming out from America Korean and the boss, because America Korean dropped the chompers onto the turret area, and the boss just flays 2 people into the chompers, and they take a ton of damage from America Korean, and managed to snag a couple kills for him.
Yeah, that's what's so beautiful about Thresh, just having the ability to reposition people. And there's a 5-man push into the middle. They're going to be going for the inhibitor. Calvin diving on the Shockwave. Hamilton going 1v4, but he's not going to last much longer. He pops the Zani in order to buy himself some more time. Boss is getting knocked around. Hamilton's so low, he's on the backside. Shockwave diving onto Rakiri, forcing him into their other turret. However, Kappa Cougar is able to peel for his team. Jigsaw pops you. There's the Mega Death Rocket. It's not enough to execute them. 5 members are low, but there are minions on the Nexus, and the 1-man army of America Korean cannot take them out. That's going to be the game, going over to Vanquished.
Wow. Quite a powerful game coming out from Vanquished, and some really insanely good Vayne mechanics coming out from Rakiri. I'm expecting some Vayne bans in the future.
Yeah, they just picked him up. He's a newer member of the team. They did have to drop one of their other players for reasons, and he had an amazing performance his first week out on the, I guess the league matches, aside from scrims, and a phenomenal performance by Rakiri.
Anyway, very well played. We will be setting up our next game, which will be Beetle Bandits versus White Lightning soon. Catch you guys in a bit.
Welcome back, everybody. House Party 5v5. We've got the Premier League coming at you. Season 4, Week 2, Game 2. On the red side, we've got White Lightning, the returning champions from Season 3. And on the blue side, we've got the Beetle Bandits.
Yeah, I am already interested because of these bans that have come out so quickly. Like seeing Kalista Nar Fiora. Fiora, of course, being banned out because she's very frustrating to play the minigame against. She can do a ton of damage really fast, and the heal is really strong if you manage to get it to go off. Meanwhile, we have Vladimir, Blitzcrank, and Garen, which Garen, of course, being incredibly overpowering in the top lane, very tanky, does a lot of damage. Blitzcrank, interestingly enough, has become a little bit more popular lately because he happens to work well with Juggernauts. You see Braum being locked in very quickly on Beetle Bandit's side.
Yeah, and the Quista taken off the table. Christina loves to hard carry these games. A great ADC with positioning, and Ballista just exponentially increases her ability to do damage and stay safe. So, want to take that off the table for her. Gnar, a pretty staple of the top lane. All throughout this Season 5 of the League of Legends seasons, Gnar has been one of the most dominant top laners throughout the meta consistently.
Well, it's less that he's dominant and more that he's just so safe that it's hard to bully him. There are some champions that can bully him, but he has this sort of like cyclic bullying that he can do where if he's ranged, he can bully most people because he outranges them. If he's in Mega Gnar form, he's tanky enough and has enough CC that he can outtrade them and then get away. So, he's never particularly in a bad spot. You see the Darius locked in, and Darius has been more infuriating than he used to be, if that's believable, because of the heal that comes out from his Decimate now. And in team fights, you need to actually focus Darius now, because if you don't, he heals hitting 3 people with a blade. He'll heal for about 36% of all the missing health he has, and that is increased by Spirit Visage.
It's just absolutely absurd how much he can do in fights. He can tank the entire team, heal up through it, and then he can execute you once you get low, and then chain those executes once he gets one of those kills rolling. It's just a lot to deal with. On the other side, he does not have a gap close, so Beetle Bandits picking Ashe and Braum are going to be able to infinitely kite him, assuming they're able to not get engaged upon initially.
I do like the Ashe pickup with Braum. We've joked about it being the Freljord bot lane or whatever, but it's a very CC heavy lane, and once they decide to initiate on you, it's actually really hard to get away because you have the Braum stun coming out from his passive and the Winter's Bite, and then you also have the slow coming out from Ashe, and that slow is really, really potent, particularly when each one of the shots is doing tons of damage to you. Gragas and Tristana being picked up on the red side, of course, and Gragas, we haven't seen as much Gragas recently. He's been a little bit behind where he used to be as a jungler, but maybe we'll see him picked up somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe it's the return of the infamous mid lane Gragas. Somehow I doubt it, but it could happen.
He just doesn't have this scaling like he used to on his ability power to become that. But he does offer a lot of tank. He can engage with the flash body slam, or he can disengage using the explosive cask. So he still offers a lot of utility for the team. Not a bad pick, just not as powerful in terms of the tier picks and OP-ness like you were just talking about.
The Veigar getting locked in, and kind of surprised that we didn't see a Veigar ban, but at the same time I guess they didn't really want to give away Vladimir to Malkathos because he does play quite a bit of Vladimir. And it looks like it will be a Malphite jungle. I was kind of expecting a Malphite top, but a Malphite jungle isn't necessarily a bad thing. He will be a little bit slow on his ganking. He doesn't really do a whole lot of ganking until about level 6, but once he hits level 6 with the Yasuo top lane and with Braum in bot lane, they're able to do these very powerful engages that allow Malphite to just take a huge amount of advantage of things. his ultimate is incredibly strong when your team already has decent amounts of CC, and they've got tons of CC lying around.
Yeah, not to mention they do have a lot of peel back and kite between Ashe and Viger, kind of sets up the zone control. Having Malphite on the team lets them pull that trigger when they find an initiation they want, or if somebody's out of position needs easily punished. Having both knockups on their squad will allow Worcester to get in there with Yasuo, assassinate the members, preferably Tristana and Azir, so they can the team fight. The longer it lasts between Ashe, the more damage she's gonna. And they need to single out Azir and Tristana, because if they don't, they will lose the fights.
I do have to question, though, the Azir pick. And I know that I will probably be proven wrong later, but I have to question it because two of the people that you don't want jumping on Azir can ignore Azir's ult.
That is very true.
Like, Malphite can ultimate in, and will just ignore Azir. And if either Malphite or Braum use their ultimates, Yasuo can also ignore the Azir wall. So he has to use it after they initiate on him, and that's assuming that he lives long enough.
Yeah, maybe he's going to look to build a Zanya's and reactionary pop that as Malphite's flying in at him. And then once he gets out of stasis, he can drop down the wall. But he's relying on reactions. He's playing a very dangerous game.
He does take the cleanse, though, and I'm not sure if that would be better than him taking the exhaust, but I guess if you're up against Veigar, you don't want to get just instantly killed because you got stunned. So he'll probably need that for reactioning, if nothing else. Overall, I think that I can say that in the early game, maybe in the mid game, White Lightning has the advantage in their team comp, and that might be what they're going towards. But when it starts getting later into the game, Beetle Bandits is going to kind of pull ahead because they have Veigar, who is an infinite scaling AP mage, who now actually scales even harder because they buffed the scaling on his Q. Rather, they made it so that he gets more AP because he also gets it from assists now. As we know, Yasuo, once he gets late into the game, he's really hard to kill. Usually ends up picking one or two tank items and then just going Infinity Edge and a bunch of damage. As for the White Lightning lineup, they have a lot of this early game pressure and a lot of the mid game pressure of Tristana. And I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with that. Tristana is able to put out a whole lot of damage onto towers, and it allows them to do a lot more poking near the towers. But Tristana cannot jump over Veigar's playpen. If he drops the stun, you can't get out of it unless you flash, because if you try and jump over the wall, you just get stunned at the wall. I don't know. It's gonna be. Go ahead.
That can be super useful for catching Tristana if he's ever out of position.
I mean, normally you want to try and land the walls around, or land the walls in such a way that it will land on top of somebody when they try and run away from you. But I could see it just as good just putting Tristana directly in the middle of it and saying, okay, you're not allowed to leave. You cannot leave this area, and I won't be able to hit you with my W, but I will be able to kill you. Caster's going to be taking a brief break while we go ahead and load in on see you guys back on the Rift. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second game of the day in the Premier League for House Party 5v5. I am Declabase, and I am, of course, being joined by Thunder.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Great to be here.
And we are seeing just the customary line of scrimmage, just making sure nobody's going into either side of the jungle, dropping out the line of wards.
We expect to see White Lightning, the red side, be more focused around this mid-game, and they're gonna need to close it out quickly, because with the late-game scaling on Malkathos, on Worcester, just their entire squad is gonna be extremely hard to deal with come 40 minutes into this.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be one of those things that is either gonna snowball one way or the other really fast. Because if one team gets ahead, it's going to be hard for the other team to come back. If White Lightning comes ahead, they'll be able to pressure a lane and decide, okay, we want to take a tower, we can abuse it with the wave clear of Azir and the tower killing power of Azir and Tristana together, or it'll just turn into Beetle Bandits saying, okay, we're going to force fights. We're going to take a tower, or you're going to come fight us. Because we will win a fight if we force one. Alternatively, instead of being a snowball one way or the other, it'll be back and forth as they kind of gain leads, and either Veigar gets kills or Darius gets kills back and forth. They can execute fairly easily.
Yeah, it's going to be very dependent on how, honestly, these top and mid lanes start their snowball. If Darius gets ahead, he's extremely aggressive. If Veigar gets behind, that will stop his scaling minutely, but it will buy time for Hobbs to pressure down the waves and roam.
Right, and the thing about Veigar is that he can scale really hard, and he's even better against things like Azir, who have to build AP. So his ult scales harder, but it looks like he's taking a whole bunch of damage in mid lane. I don't think that he was prepared for Hobbs to get the slight level advantage over him. As for top lane, Yasuo is not really going to be able to do too much pressure onto Darius. I mean, he will, but Darius can heal up some and can also win trades through his bleed, proccing the shield.
Down on the bot side, Beetle Bandit's putting a lot of pressure down onto Simkev. He's down in HP, but he has been able to zone an Ashe off of some of this farm. So Rapid's slowly falling behind on the CS, only on the third wave. And there's it coming into play. Senpai just out-sustaining Worcester, able to out-trade him, and they're going for a brawl here, and he just keeps healing back and healing back. Worcester going in deep on him, evening the trade out pretty significantly, and he's up in CS as well.
I think that he is up in CS, but at the same time, the wave is slightly larger on his side, so there are some minions that Senpai just hasn't had the chance to actually kill yet.
That is true. Trying to account for the turret being able to hit some of these odd health ones.
Uh-oh.
Izumi dishing out so much damage to Rapid.
Yeah, I think Ratbag kind of overreacted there using his flash. I don't think he realizes that Tristana's bomb this early doesn't actually do that much damage to champions. It's good for a little bit of poke, but it only does a lot if you get it fully stacked. But good on Miyagimoto managing to get a little bit more harass out and forcing a summon.
Malkathos getting chunked out in the mid lane. Sorry for interrupting you there, Deck, but Galactus is all over Hams. He's got the slowdown from the seismic shards and the red buff. Malkathos flashes in to try to get the event horizon stun, but Hobbs' quick reaction flashes directly out of it before it can activate.
I actually really like that play from Malkathos, but we'll go into that as soon as Worcestershire is done fighting Senpai.
Got 4 of those bleed basketball stacks on him.
Unfortunately, Senpai didn't quite turn around when he wanted to, or he would have gotten the heal from his Decimate. Didn't quite get it. But, so, as I was mentioning, Malkathos used his flash, and some people might say, oh, well, you know, he traded flash for flash, it was an even trade. That's not true. That is actually very heavily in Malkathos' favor, because this means that if Hobbs wants to be able to get away from him, he needs to keep in mind the event horizon range. Because he doesn't have flash to go over the event horizon wall, and he can't do the soldier slide over the wall.
He'll just get stunned on the way out. Well, at the edge of it. And Christina might be on the wrong side of Gallicus, but she's able to body slam and catch the lantern to safety, so close situation avoided.
It's okay, he's got the body slam, he's safe.
Worcester gets grabbed in by the apprehend. He's gotten more than half his HP chunked out. Senpai winning the HP trades, but losing in farm.
See, this is one of the reasons why I don't really like the Yasuo pick into the Darius, because it renders your flow shield useless. Like, Way of the Wanderer's shield is gonna be procced every time the trade is over, because even if he manages to get it up, the bleeds will proc it while he's running away. So sure, he might not die from it, but he will
it's not
end
as
up
effective.
losing it.
The bottom side, if you're going to look at the CS differences, even after this wave, Miyamoto is still up ahead against Rapid, and that's exactly what you need on Tristana. When come this mid game, when you want to get into these siege situations, be able to blow through those turrets, especially if she's got some extra items on her. But Gallicus returning mid. Hobbs is caught by the seismic shards. He's going to shuffle over the wall and make it to safety. However, keeping this pressure on means Malkathos is able to freely stack his Q farm up. He's got a bonus AP of 28 already.
Yeah, and that's only going to grow because each time he gets a kill, he'll get even more from it. And while there aren't any kills happening just yet, he will, well, now he is level 6, he will be able to use the Primordial Burst to be able to just kind of blow up Hobbs if he's not careful.
And Christina falling behind in CS, sorry, not Gallicus falling in behind on CS in comparison to Christina because he has ganked so many more times, and Gragas just has a more effective clear at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's very weird that Gallicus is trying to force these ganks so much, because early game, Malphite doesn't really have a lot of ganking power. The only thing he can really do is walk in and throw in a seismic shard, and that's about it. He might get in range to do a ground slam, but otherwise it's really just the slow and the damage from that. Meanwhile, normally you would expect Argus to be ganking more, but it's good on Christina to realize that, okay, well, he's wasting his time ganking, my teammates know what they're doing, so I'll just kind of hang around sometimes, and my wave clear's better. So I'll just go clear the jungle. What's he going to do?
Check out this 3-man gank they're trying to set up. The Beetle Bandits want to take Hobbs out. They're surrounding him on all sides of the mid lane. They know he's low HP. However, Hobbs will have flash in about 40 seconds. Still has Cleanse Up and the Emperor's Divide, so they're going to back off.
Hobbs is good on HP. It's his mana that's low, and that does mean that it will be hard for him to kind of turn around a lot of stuff. Malkathos taking a little bit of damage, not too much. Hobbs wasting that precious mana that he has so little of right now. He opted to go for the Fiendish Codex first instead of maybe picking up like a Charm or something. And that means that he's not really going to have very good mana regen right now. Sure, he's out CSing, but...
Yeah, that's why Christina's trying to get that blue buff for his teammates. However, Worcester shows up, zones them off of it, and they're going to be able to transfer this over to Malkathos. Uh-oh, it's a little bit of a stall out on that. There it goes. However,
okay.
Done within vision of White Lightning, so they have the timer on this.
Now, we talked about earlier, iSenpai was getting out-farmed by Worcestershire at first, but Worcestershire was zoned away from iSenpai, and iSenpai managed to freeze the wave in one spot, so he was very easily able to kind of even out that lead.
And one thing about Darius is, even if he doesn't get super far ahead... Oh, speaking of apprehending, chopping down Worcestershire, and there you see it. The bleeds are on him, and it procced the shield as he's going out, so Way of the Wanderer, not quite as useful as it could be.
On the plus side, he can manage to build it up pretty fast using his dashes, but he needs to be careful because if iSenpai catches him out, he'll very quickly be able to just kill him, even if he's close to the tower.
And Hobbs just picking up his own blue buff now. He's going to be able to put a lot of bully potential down on Malkathos. We could expect to see Gallicus roam in now because he's level 6 and they will be able to get that instant.
Yeah, the Unstoppable Force is going to put out quite a lot of damage, and it's something that I'm not sure if he realizes the danger that he's in if he even steps that far up, because he's kind of playing really aggressive for not knowing where Malphite is right now.
They do have that deep pink ward in their jungle, however, it hasn't given them any recent information to determine the location of Galactus. Oh, the arrow catches out Miyamoto! Teleport's being channeled, however, Dark Passage from Simkev is going to save him. He rocket jumps to safety. The teleport completely wasted on Malkathos' part. It was a great idea initially, but Tristana Thresh, so safe.
I think that was poorly coordinated, would be the best way I can put it. Because if they knew that they were planning that...
Christina catching out Galactus and Hobbs is roaming in. iSenpai and Worcester still going at it. However, this 2v1 scenario could look grim for Galactus, but they decide to give up the chase. Now Worcester is in possibility of danger of a 3-man die. Or not. Or not.
lots of damage coming out, but Galactus did have to blow his unstoppable force to get
away.
away.
Oh, Simkev getting caught in the bottom lane. He lands the hook on the Rapid. The exhaust is down. The explosive shot is out. However, the stun from fail mode is gonna get it. He picks up first blood. And 80 carries get killed each side. However, Simkev pretty low. Fail mode's gonna be able to push him into the turret.
Fail mode, unfortunately, having to get the first blood there for his team rather than giving it to Ratbed, but it is what it is. We did see mid lane, Christina's gank being foiled. Uh-oh.
Worcester's got some stacks down on him. Let's see if iSenpai pulls the trigger and starts dunking him like the master he is.
Kev, you're hanging around really late. Galactus is hanging around. I don't know what he's really expecting, though. He doesn't have his ult.
That's fun, but Malkathos gets pushed backwards, and Hobbs is just going to walk out the other side of the fight. A little bit too aggressive with that flash on Malkathos' part.
I don't know why he flashed.
He was still in range, wasn't he?
Like, I really don't know why he flashed. There was no justification for flashing, because he was in range. He flashed forward on top of Azir, and then placed it behind him because he assumed that Azir was going to walk back, which was smart. But the flash was unnecessary. He was in range for every spell he had.
Yeah, maybe just a little trigger happy. Oh, the arrow's going to catch out Miyamoto, but he still gets the jump off. Fail mode slows him with Winter's Bite. One more proc for the stun. Not enough. But Rapid, very accurate.
Yeah, and I had mentioned it earlier. I realized we had another fight happen, so I kind of got off track with that. But the early gank, when Malkathos teleported down, I was confused because I figured, oh, well, if Radbed is going to be using his ultimate, and they know he's using it, then he may as well...
Oh, Filmo gets played and hooked instantly. Christina is going to body slam into them. However, the Glacial Fissure's down is going to slow him up. Filmo flashes over the wall to dodge the explosive cast.
iSenpai in a poor spot, getting chunked down.
White Lightning starting up the Baron. Simkev and Hobbs on zone control, so Malkathos can't do anything. However, there's a dive in top lane, and Galactus slays Worcester. Galactus and Worcester slam. Hobbs takes out Malkathos solo style.
And... well, that's a dragon for their team. They managed to get a couple of kills coming out. One for Worcestershire, unfortunately, managing to... well, Worcestershire didn't get it. It was, Galactus managed to pick up the kill on iSenpai. But, White Lightning turning around, picking up a kill, and getting a dragon for it. And... looks like it's back to the safe lull of things. Nobody's in lane to fight. I think iSenpai is being a little bit too over-aggressive, as expected from a Darius. He's not really using his wards very much, and that's going to cost him a lot.
The Beetle Band is doing an excellent job of punishing him over aggression. He has a lot of turret damage just to match up.
He does need to back up here, though, because the Unstoppable Force is available, and Worcestershire is almost in lane. So, if Gallicus tosses out that ultimate, then Worcestershire will instantly be able to get there.
And Hobbs has finished Nashor's Tooth. Miyamoto's finished Infinity Edge, where the opposing laners, Ratbed does not have Infinity Edge finished yet, and Viger has Athenes for a little bit defense. Try to at least not take so much damage from Hobbs and his extreme lane pressure.
I understand that Nashor's Tooth is like the item to build for Azir, but I still think that it's incredibly awkward to build because his soldiers don't proc the on-hit passive. So it's got a lot of really good stats, but then that passive is just completely wasted, and it just feels so bad.
Oh, Gallicus is going to slam in with the Unstoppable Force. However, the wall is down, but it's not enough to save him because Worcester has assassinated him. He took his last breath away.
Oh, man. And that's exactly what I was talking about. The wall isn't going to save you from both of these guys. Because you can knock them away, but Worcester can still get to you. And while they did manage to get a kill, Beetle Bandits did lose a tower for it.
Ooh, Worcester gonna find him via Wind Tornado. Steel Tempest,
okay.
That's the correct name.
Yeah, it's okay. There's no reason to ever face check a bush whenever there's a Darius in the game.
I mean, unless you're trying to die, but then that's very counterproductive for your team. Speaking of counterproductive, Gallicus getting caught out by Sinkev. He's got hooked. Christina gonna land the body slam. Miyamoto just gonna dish out a couple auto attacks. The explosive shot. It's just a little icing on the cake. Wasn't necessary, but it secures the kill anyway.
I think at that point, the flash was a little bit unnecessary.
Oh, Hobbs is caught in between the Event Horizon. However, Malkatho's unable to hit him with any abilities.
He was dissuaded because of that soldier. He didn't want to get in range of it.
Oh, Hobbs going aggressive because he knows the stun is down. Christina there to give him some backup. Malkatho spots him out and going to play very safely. He knows what dangers are on the other side of that wall.
And Christina hanging over the side. He's going to be able to ult Malkathos
body
into...
slam! Ults Malkathos into the turret. The Christina is now caught on the edge of the Event Horizon. The Dark Matter's down. He has a little bit of HP. Primordial Burst is going to solidify that kill. Worcester flying in. He's going to land the dash. However, Hobbs is going to use his soldiers and get out safely.
Meanwhile, in bot lane, there was a very potent fight coming out from White Lightning. They managed to catch Fail Mode and kill him before Ratbed managed to kill Simkev. And that was really close. The stun barely managing to fall off long enough for Ratbed to not quite be able to kill Simkev.
That turret is going down so quickly. Miyamoto's got the Dark Passage to safety. There's no chance they're going to get punished for that turret after getting the kill.
But still, while we see the kills are even, the game is not even. It's very heavily in White Lightning's favor right now. Uh-oh.
Oh, Ice Senpai catches out Worcester with an apprehend. However, he's dashing through the minion waves to put some space between him.
Yeah, even with the even kills, White Lightning has a 2-tower lead, and they managed to pick up the first dragon. So they've got a nice 3,000 buffer, and they are slowly moving into this mid-game that they want to be in. Every lane is ahead in some way, except top lane. Top lane is even. It's behind by about 200 gold, but it's fairly close.
And the impact that Hobbs is having on this game, even though repeatedly getting ganked, has pressured Malkathos so much that that turret is almost gone. First turret secured, however, for the side of Beetle Bandits.
And it's a turret that they desperately needed because being 2 turrets down, that means that mid lane is going to be the next big target for White Lightning. Well, after this dragon, maybe.
Both teams lining up for it, trying to get those deep wards, secure the vision so they can make the best decision about how they go about these fights. White Lightning going to be very careful not to group up against Galacus. If he lands the unstoppable force on multiple members, it could be game over for them. Fail mode and Worcester on the chase. iSenpai doing what he can to zone him off. However, Hobbs is being pushed all the way up to the side of Baron. Oh, Worcester's caught. Christina's going in. However, Simkev gets slammed by the arrow. Miyamoto putting out so much damage. One more attack on Fail Mode will get the reset. Double kill for iSenpai. However, the last breath is down, but it's not enough to get all of them dead. Miyamoto flashes in on Rapid. The explosive shot is down. He's going to Buster shot him into the rest of his team. That's an ace for White Lightning. That's going to be a mid-turret.
And the worst part about that was that fight happened after Beetle Bandits was chasing Hobbs all the way up while minions were killing their mid-turret. So they lost their first tier mid-turret, lost their second tier mid-turret because they lost the fight, and now they're going to lose the inhibitor turret.
Oh man, that fight escalated so quickly, and they get 2 objectives off of it. And on the back foot, they might be able to pick up Dragon if they choose to, but they might just play it safe. They don't want to get caught out.
And I think probably the big thing in that fight was the positioning that iSenpai had. Like, yes, there was a lot of disorientation going around between Kuristina and Hobbs, a lot of damage coming out from Yagimoto, but iSenpai managed to completely remove Malkathos from the fight. He pulled him over the wall and just burst him down before he could do any damage.
And Beetle Bandit's going to start up the Dragon. However, White Lightning is in no position to contest this. It's getting burnt down so quickly, there's no way that they can even try to steal this.
I think at this point, though, they're willing to make the, oh, we lost the Dragon trade, that's okay, we got 5 kills, 3 towers.
Yeah, they're up 4 towers total. They're up 7,000 gold. Yes, there's a few turrets left. There's 2 tier 1s for Beetle Bandits, but that in no way closes that gold gap.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing White Lightning moving into the state that they want to be in. They're very powerful. This is the mid to late game almost. Kuristina has a lot of tank stuff now. Miyagimoto does have the Infinity Edge and the Phantom Answer.
Sorry.
Not quite. Out of range, not quite. He almost had it. And I don't know. There are going to be a lot more fights happening now because White Lightning can force these fights. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to go for an early Baron. They do have the vision control and they do have the lead.
They could be looking for it. They've got a bunch of deep wards in the blue side. Beetle Bandit's jungle lit up. Right now, all the main pathways to Baron. Simkev and Hobbs looking for a pick on Worcester. They dodge the Steel Tempest Tornado. Play is down, but Worcester's going to be able to dash through the minions. Kuristina pops the Righteous Glory. He gets the body slam. The slow is out. He's running out of things to jump through. He gets pulled back in, and then the kill goes over to Hobbs. They've got a man-up situation. This could be the Baron. There's 2 people on the bottom side of the map, one of them being the Beetle Bandits jungler. They're gonna trade Baron for a tier 1 bottom turret? That is not worth it whatsoever. They look so disoriented. They can't choose between the Baron or the turret. Malkathos gonna do what he can, but unless he does some miraculous steal via the Dark Matter, there's no way that White Lightning's gonna give this Baron up.
I almost think that backing here is the wrong decision. I think that they should have gone top lane and used that minion wave that they have. But it looks like they want to do the defensive thing, move towards bot side, and make sure that Beetle Bandits doesn't try for another tower. Now, there wasn't really any chance for them to getting another tower. Galacus was kind of unsure if they wanted to make that trade, knowing that they were on Baron, seeing it through the Ashes Hawkshot. But, sorry, don't even name the ability often. And I don't know. I think that they just kind of got caught with their pants down. They weren't entirely sure what was happening until it was already too late.
Well, absolutely. They were completely surprised by the call. And then, okay, you get surprised by a call, that's going to happen. There's tons of different things that can go on in the game, and you're not always able to predict what your teammate or your enemies are going to do. But as a whole, they did not react in time. They showed so much hesitation. They were just wandering around that bottom side turret like, hey, do we take this turret? Do we go for Baron? In about 5 to 10 seconds of that, They got nothing done. Yes, they got a turret, but they lost Baron. They've lost their bottom tier 2 tower, and White Lightning was given an inch, and now they're taking a mile.
I think they're taking a lot more than a mile here. Looks like they're deciding to split up into a sort of 4-1 push. Nope, they're instead going to opt to pressure this open inhibitor and get this inhibitor turret, maybe. And I think that if Beetle Bandits wanted to fight, it would be now.
The arrow catches out Hobbs, instantly flashes. Galactus goes in, the last breath is popped. However, he has the wall down. Worcester getting picked off by Miyagimoto. Fail mode, going in, he's going for the team, but he can't peel enough members away. He gets caught out by Ice Senpai, dunks for 2. Galactus, the only remaining member with Ratbed in the turret. He's trying to heal up, but it's not going to be in time. Simka flashes in behind him and gets the play. He gets taken out. Ratbed trying to pick up some consolation kills on the backside, but the Baron minions are on the Nexus turrets. There's only one left. He's getting poked out. Hobbs is super low. Flash body slam from Kurasmina onto Rapid is going to zone him off. Hobbs picks up the kill while he's on the fountain. That's going to be the Nexus and the game going over to White Lightning.
That was a definitive team fight. Everything just happened to go perfectly for White Lightning. And even so, well played Beetle Bandits managing to not give up too much at a time, but White Lightning coming out with a lot of really good synergy and a lot of good team fighting.
It's so scary to be a hard engaged team with Malphite and Yasuo to assassinate a member and knowing that you're probably not going to be able to kill whoever you grab.
Yeah, it's weird because you're in a situation where you want to be diving constantly to take advantage of all of your tools, but you have to be backpedaling constantly because if you don't, you die. Anyway, we will be setting up the next game soon. Game will start in about 15 minutes, assuming we can get it on time. Catch you guys in a bit.
Thanks for watching House Party 5v5.
welcome back to the show, everybody. House Party 5v5's Premier League kicking off Game 3 of the Saturday. I'm your host, Anson. Going to be casting the Lucker Dogs on the blue side versus Team 7 on the red side.
And I'll be your play-by-play Captain Flowers. This is going to be Game 3 of the day. We've still got 2 more in store for you guys after this one, so be sure to stay tuned for those. But right now, the Lucker Dogs versus Team 7, the story of the hour.
Lucker Dogs coming out with the Zir and Lulu bands, threshing Gangplank, being tossed over for Team 7. Vayne going to round it out for Lucker Dogs. We've seen Vayne perform quite well today, so not a surprise ban there.
The ban's coming out pretty quickly this time around. Sometimes you see this ban phase lasting a little bit longer, teams taking a little bit more time to consider what they want off the table, but these teams coming into this with a clear goal on what they want to ban out, what they want to play, and what they want to make sure they're dealing with as the game gets into the picking phase.
I think Thresh definitely was a targeted ban against Lucker Dog's support. They don't want to have to deal with that. Gangplank and Fiora, same thing as usual. You just don't want to have to deal with those annoyances. Quick pickup on the Lucker Dogs. Going to be taking that Kalista in the battle.
Kalista going to be locked in first. A very powerful first pick, a champion that's hard to play around in the lane, something that's generally not that risky to pick up in that first round of the draft. Braum going to be hovered over onto the side of Team 7, another champion who adds so much to every team. The CC, the utility, the engage and disengage both. He's a wonderful pickup early in the draft, something that you can't really capitalize on too heavily. Elise now also being hovered, just that strong early jungle pickup to help add to that pressure.
Yeah, Braum is so disruptive in team fights. He could just turn the tide of so many different engagements, whether you're trying to engage or disengage, and he's just an all-around good pick. Another thing, he doesn't really tip your hand too much. It's not like there's a lot of compositions Braum can't fit into. So picking him up as a support early, definitely a strong pick, and definitely gives you a bit more of a chance to surprise the opposition with your next few picks.
Annie being hovered now over onto the side of Lucker Dogs. Now this is a champion that can be played mid, can be played support, and sometimes in some compositions you can even take her top as long as the matchup isn't too terrible for her. It's a champion that can be countered if she gets a bad lane matchup. There are some lane matchups that are absolutely terrible for Annie, but because of the versatility of the pick, the fact that you can play it in so many different positions, and they're not giving away any of those other positions by choosing Rek'Sai here as the third pick, I like it. Annie could potentially be in any of those 3 roles, and they're not going to give any sort of clues over to Team 7 as to which one she's going to be in.
It's sort of a chess match at this point, a champion select. Which team is going to strike first when it comes to nailing down their composition here? I'm not seeing a lot going on the Lucker Dogs side, despite the fact that they've got 3 champions locked in at this point. It's all down to Zoo and Empress to really set the pace.
Serious Empress going to hover that Shen pick. Don't know if they're going to lock that one in immediately or if they're just going to wait on it. They know that they're up against the Rek'Sai in the jungle. The Shen potentially going to be the top lane pick. It is a safe option. It's an option that offers a lot of utility to the team. He doesn't have to come out of his lane stomping and being super far ahead in order to be useful. Stand United on its own, posing a huge threat, especially when you've got a jungler who's capable of helping out with that, applying the jungle pressure and creating this huge 5-man epidemic bottom that the enemy bot lane constantly has to be worried about.
Yeah, it's something that you're definitely going to have to keep your eye on. Now, Akanda and Shapanga up next to pick here. I gotta wonder what we're looking at on Team 7 for their last pick and how that's going to factor into the Lucker Dogs. They're definitely going to solidify their composition here. These last 2 picks are going to round it out for them.
They've already got solid initiation. They've got an AD carry who's capable of initiating. Kalista is one of the few champions who actually has the ability to contribute to the initiation through using that ultimate. They've also got Rek'Sai. They've also got Annie. They've got a lot of tools of getting into the fight. And these last 2 picks are really going to determine what exactly this comp's goal is. They've got a core, but obviously the entire thing hasn't been completed yet. So there's still plenty left to pick from, obviously. We've got both the solo laners potentially still to be picked if Annie is going to be played in that support role. Malphite now going to be hovered, going to be that powerful top laner for the initiation, and it will be Annie support as Orianna is locked in, and Malphite rounds out the squad. So much initiation potential onto the side of the Lucker Dogs. Love
it. They have just... it's like I want to cue up the sound of a bowling ball hitting 10 pins and nailing a strike, and just play that over and over during these team fights. So that is exactly what the Lucker Dogs want to accomplish with this composition. Meanwhile, on Team 7's side, it's a pretty quick lock-in of the Ari there for them. But they've definitely got to be looking at all of this engage coming at them. It's like Lucker Dogs pointing both barrels.
Now, Lucker Dogs have a composition with so much initiation potential. Orianna can strap that ball onto either Rek'Sai or Malphite, and should either of them find the initiation through their knockup, the power of the Orianna ult comboed with that is going to be more than enough to just make the fight go their way. The Wombo combo potential is the defining factor of this Lucker Dogs team comp. Meanwhile, over on Team 7, you've got a team that wants to snowball early. You've got a team that's going to be looking into that bot lane. They're going to have laser sight on those two enemy players, the AD carry and the support, and they're going to be trying to take them out constantly. Ari's meant to roam as soon as she hits 6. Shen wants to roam as soon as he hits 6. Elise wants to gank 24/7 as soon as she has all 3 abilities to cast. They need to pressure this bot lane early and often, because if Team 7 falls behind early, they're not going to be able to team fight.
And another thing, the skirmish situation, I think, goes over to Team 7. They have a lot more synergy on a champion-to-champion level than the Lucker Dogs do. I think Lucker Dogs really shine as a group of 5. But I think Team 7, just as groups of 2 here and there, you're right, the jungle pressure coming in, there's a lot that Lucker Dogs are going to have to watch out for, especially in the early game when they're not all going to be grouped up together.
Another thing that 7's going to have to watch out for, and one part of this where I believe they clearly got outdrafted, the fact that their AD carry is Jinx. You've got an AD carry with no mobility whatsoever against 5 different people looking to just take you out of the equation. Something with some sort of dash, some sort of innate escape mechanism other than having to blow that flash on a 5-minute cooldown is much better to play against these combinations like this, against these teams that blow their entire combination at once. And then after, if you can survive the shockwave, the unstoppable force, the Tibbers, if you can survive all that and manage to kite backwards, re-engage the fight afterwards, you have the potential to win. But the problem is surviving that on a champion like Jinx. It's so difficult to do because you don't have the mobility that you need to be able to escape those kinds of heavy initiations. And it's going to be something that if Zhao manages to carry his team, play really well, and avoid that, I'm going to be seriously impressed.
It's going to come down to Mycroft as well. Mycroft is going to have to be on the spot with the stand behind me. That, in a lot of situations, is going to be the only thing that stops what's coming in. And even then, Akanda can get around that by using his ultimate. Throw Surfron in there, throw Womenos in there, somebody with the ball on them. It's going to be a very scary game for Zoo. He's almost going to have to just sit out for half of the team fight off screen before he comes in and starts contributing rockets.
Absolutely. If he shows his face at the wrong time, if he shows up too early, potential for a flash unstoppable force, flash Tibbers, and then the follow-up from a shockwave is just so much. He's going to get 100-0. He's constantly under that pressure, and it's going to be a huge exercise in not only positioning, but also in patience for not just him, but the entire team. They can't take a fight that looks like, yeah, this one will be sort of okay. They have to take a fight that's good, because one misstep is going to mean losing to this Wombo combo. We're going to see how it plays out here in just about 25 seconds. We'll be going into the loading screen shortly, and once we get back, it's going to be the Lucker Dogs versus Team 7. Stay right there. You aren't going to want to miss it. It's House Party 5v5 Premier League.
And we are back onto the Rift House Party 5v5. Lucker Dogs versus Team 7. Your caster Anson, seeing our teams.
And I'll be your play-by-play Captain Flowers. The team's going to be looking to potentially get into a scrap here at the level 1. Going to be the Cocoon coming out. Going to be flashed away by Surfon. Not going to have that for the ganks in the future, but he will be able to escape for the time being. That's a wonderful summoner to be able to blow that early. Good heads-up play coming from Team 7, being able to catch him out there. But the rest of the Lucker Dogs now grouped up. They may still try for a late invade here. It is something that you sometimes see these teams do. If you manage to have some sort of engage early on, especially if a summoner gets blown or something important happens, they think that it's over at that point. And the Lucker Dogs are going to try to take advantage of that. Award will be able to spot them out from that one. Mycroft is going to flare that BM, walk away from this one as the Lucker Dogs are not able to find anything useful. They drop 2 wards in the same location, a little bit of a miscommunication there, but they're getting the vision, they're getting a little bit of information. As they walk into here, they're going to see who starts where, make sure there's no lane swaps, see if anybody takes the Gromp.
So, I did not catch it. Was that the charm start in order to force the flash out?
That was a Cocoon coming out from Syria's Empress, trying to land that one. So she doesn't have the start that she wants to have. She's almost going to have to double jungle here with Zorak in order to clear these camps, simply because E level 1 on Elise does nothing whatsoever. So it did force a flash, but it is going to force the double jungle, which would have likely been taken anyway.
And you know, that's the advantage to these double jungle starts that we're seeing a lot in this metagame, is that you can afford to go a riskier path on your invade, and you know that if you lose a few hit points or you have to take a spell that you don't necessarily want level 1, you've got a little bit of backup left there.
Oh, absolutely. If Elise had to do this on her own, there would be no way she could afford to start Cocoon whatsoever. It's just not going to be able to do anything for her. She and Zorak doing a good job just clearing that out. Going to tank as much of that as possible onto the top laner, and then allow Elise to continue to clear those out and go for the early ganks.
Bottom lane, hitting level 2 on the side of Team 7. Sala and Anaconda going to have to be careful as they have that experience advantage.
Sala just trying to poke a little bit with those spells. They've got to watch out. Just like you said, the level 2 is nothing to laugh at. Sala going to be able to hit his, looking for some sort of initiation, not going to be able to find it. Just those BM flares being cast over and over. Riot doing a wonderful thing for the game by allowing teams to customize those.
Yeah, and why not? You know, it's Worlds time. It's time to throw them up and represent.
Nothing really happening here in the top lane, and I think that's going to be the story of this for the most part. You've got Malphite and you got Shen. They're both tanks. They're both looking to build tanky items so that they can do that initiation frontline role for their team. They're going to hit each other, but it's just a wet noodle fight. Nobody's health bar is going to drop to the point where it's actually a concern until the junglers show up.
It's just a little bit of back and forth here, and really this is going to be a wet noodle fight up in the top lane. There's not going to be a whole lot going on, and I don't imagine the junglers are going to be focusing much pressure up there, although at this point it does look like Saffron's clearing out that Scuttle Crab, so it's going to give him a little bit of a movement speed boost. Zorak plenty close to the safety of his turret with that feint up. Just not going to be a lot of opportunities for him up there.
I absolutely agree that the junglers won't be showing too much top. It's really going to be a waste of time. Sala finding a little bit of damage onto Zhao, but CRS Mycroft, he's got the winner's bite. Sala under a lot of pressure here. The chompers are down. The damage is coming out. Sala dropping incredibly low. Zhao finding the damage. The exhaust is down. Akonda now into the front line, but the winner's bite has been dropped onto him. It's another stun. The heal being forced out onto the side of the Lucker Dogs. These 80 carry and support teams are going all the way deep. Serious Empress with the flash forward. The Cocoon connects better. Sala, he's going to go down. That's going to be first blood. Going over to the side of Team 7. 1-0 here at the 4-minute mark.
That was expertly played, the patience exercised by Team 7 in waiting for that gank to show up. Zorak in a little trouble.
Zorak going in onto a menace onto the top lane. Not going to be able to do a whole lot. Surfon staying and camping out into this top lane is not what you want to see if you're the Lucker Dogs. The reason that the junglers are likely not going to invest too many resources into this top lane is because neither of these two, if they get a 2-0 lead over their opponent, is still going to be able to do that much. These two are not numbers champions. They're champions that simply are looking to be able to provide the utility of initiation for their team. Hitting one ahead isn't going to really enable or disable the enemy from doing anything. They're both going to have utility. They're both going to be useful. The junglers are so much better served showing up in the bottom or mid lanes like we saw coming out from Syria's Empress.
Another thing that really served that bottom lane team fight was Mycroft's exhaust. Minus, though, got a flash out of this one. But the exhaust actually got put down onto Sala. and not onto Akanda. And Sala was on the front lines dealing a majority of the damage, and he actually delayed Sala's spells for long enough for the jungler to show up, for Empress to get there and turn the tides of that. So very, very well played on Team 7's part.
Team 7 may have a kill under their belts, but gold in this game is actually dead even, just due to the fact that the CS advantages for the Lucker Dogs are very, very real. It's going to be Zorak finding a taunt onto a menace, under the turret, dropping very, very low. The flash being forced out from the big old Rockman. Is he going to crumble? Zorak with the flash forward, trying to make it happen. Another dagger will be able to secure the kill, and that's going to be Team 7 going up 2-0.
You cannot underestimate the Vorpal Blade damage. Very well played feint from Zorak right there. You have to respect the taunt. It's a long taunt. It's going to lock you into that turret, and just like we saw there, it's shredded right through Wiminous. He doesn't have a lot of armor at this stage in the game, and it's honestly a mistake you can't afford to make.
Really, in these tank v tank lanes, as long as both players are playing it very sound, very safe, just very fundamentally, it's really impossible to grab a kill onto the other player. The only thing that makes that false is when one player overextends, finds himself under a turret. It's going to be Mycroft taking some damage from both of the members onto the Lucker Dog's bot side. Just a little bit of damage going to go onto him. He jumps away, and Braum is just so hard to kill.
Big, strong man. Doesn't easily give it up.
Chapanga and Syria's Empress into the 1v1 top side. It's going to be Ahri rotating over, trying to see what she can do about this one. They won't be able to pick up a kill. The pressure coming out from Team 7. They know that they've got a bit of a lead now, and they're working with it. They've got a couple deep wards, and they're wanting to start to take over the jungle. Onto the side of the Lucker Dogs. More 2v2 action here into the bot side. Sala taking some damage, but going to be able to walk away from that one.
Zoo and Mycroft want to get this lane off their turret and really get into a position where they can punish Akanda and Sala, but Akanda and Sala just keep pushing it back up to turret, keep backing off. Kind of want to see Empress come down bottom and sort of punish this aggression coming from the side of the Lucker Dogs.
Both of these junglers opted for the Stalker's Blade. It's a pretty common item to see on both of them, and it's an item that shows that whoever ends up ganking more powerfully, more effectively in the start of this game is going to be the one who really sets the pace for their team. Both these junglers are so useful early ganking through that laning phase, trying to set the enemy behind. They're not really power farmers, and whichever one manages to actually make the plays come up is going to have such a huge impact onto this game, while the other, simply just farming it out, isn't going to be able to do a whole lot.
And take a look at the warding. Lucker Dogs know what situation they're putting in. They know that they're exposing their backs here. They've got the pink ward in the Tri-Brush. They're keeping the River Brush warded as much as they can. And they've got this two-man squad coming through. It looks like they're not even going to try for the gank to get spotted out by Team 7. So it's going to be a tower, it looks like, going over the Lucker Dogs.
And this is something that we don't actually see happen as much as I think we should in a lot of these house party games, is teams rotate and they try to find the kills. But this rotation coming out from Lucker Dogs, a kill was something that it would have been nice if they could have found it, but they rotated the two over. They knew they would have 4 men bottom, and they just wanted the turret. They're able to pick it up nice and quick. They actually take the gold lead despite still not being on the board in terms of kills. It's going to be Zorak and Syria's Empress able to respond in the top side with that one, but you've still got 5 men middle looking to try to find something else here for the Lucker Dogs.
And you know, that is an exercise in patience that a lot of players find it difficult to master. The kills lead to, they are a means to the objectives. They are not the objectives. So sometimes when, even in high levels of play, you see players go chasing after the means rather than,
Gonna be the initiation by 1 minute on to N-. There's the shockwave. Ahri dropping very low. This game not gonna be enough to save her. Mycroft in the middle of everyone. The turret is gonna be able to bring down Malphite. Zerfon gonna go down to another shot. Zhao managing to pick up that one. It's a 2-for-1 so far. The turret is going to fall. Akana trying to find that damage onto the enemy AD carry, but it's gonna be Zorak coming up from behind. Zhao gets brought down before he can show up, though. It's Mycroft under a lot of pressure. Shen cannot find his way into this fight. The damage is coming out. Mycroft, can you survive? Yes, you can. What a hero. He manages to walk away from that one. It's a 2-for-2, but they managed to take the turret into the mid lane. The Lucker Dogs grabbing turret number 2 of the game.
I thought that Lucker Dogs were in trouble when Zorak was coming around the backside there, but it just came down to Akanda. He tore Team 7 to shreds before Zorak could get in there and even make a difference.
Zorak, if he could have got there just a couple seconds earlier, if he could have got there before Zhao died, The Lucker Dogs were so clumped up. A wonderful taunt, a well-placed taunt, would have been able to potentially turn that around, find them another kill, maybe even save Zhao if the temperature in hell was cold enough that day. However, they weren't able to do it. Zhao does go down to the combined might of the Lucker Dogs, and it's just the dogs rotating around. They're finding the plays. Yeah, they're losing 2 to 4, but in terms of gold, they're ahead and they're moving as a unit. They're playing as a team. Team 7 now looking to secure this scuttle and respond to that. Sala potentially going to be caught out here. The zap will not connect, and the Lucker Dogs just going to be able to get their support away from that one nice and safe.
Both teams want to be playing the vision game right now, and especially Lucker Dogs around this dragon area. Dragon just now coming up. They want to cash in on that 5% bonus, get that rolling toward the rest of the game. And of course, Team 7, they gotta want to take it to number 2 and deny the first one to Lucker Dogs.
Sala going to be caught out by the bot laners of Team 7. Jinx just gunning her down, and that's going to be a kill going over to N-. The Lucker Dogs now, after losing their support, losing one of those key initiation techniques, going to be in a little bit of a hard position here. Serious Empress trying to secure this dragon nice and quick before the enemy can get anywhere close to it. Dragon number 2 is not a big deal. It's not a team fight dragon, but denying dragon number 1 is so much more important, and that's what Team 7 is going to do here. 5-2 now the team score, but the gold is still neck and neck.
Just not very well played from the Lucker Dogs there, unfortunately. These are the moments you look back on after a game's over and go, you know what, this is where things really started to fall apart for us. That's if you lose, though. Lucker Dogs still have plenty of opportunity to come back here. They're going to have to stop giving up important objectives like that dragon. They're going to have to start playing their team fights a little bit more controlled.
See, and this is a position that I believe is okay for the Lucker Dogs to be in. They're a little bit behind. They're down 2 dragons. They're down a couple hundred gold. They're actually up in turrets, and they're really not doing that bad overall. The dragons just really being that main factor that they're down by. But they have the team fight that has that comeback mechanism that is simply, can we all press our R buttons at the same time and hit Zhao with them? And if the answer to that question is yes, you're going to win a team fight. There's not that same comeback potential on Team 7. Team 7 needs to have the early power, the early advantage that they've managed to find for themselves, or they wouldn't even be in this game.
And it's strange that they're in that position with a hyper carry that needs to get to late game as well. It's almost counterintuitive at that point.
Both teams just going back to farming for the time being. Nobody really grouping up, making too big of a push. There's 3 men middle here for the side of Team 7. Going to be just looking to exert a little bit of pressure, perhaps force some rotations over from the Lucker Dogs. This middle turret's still standing. If you are Team 7, you've only got 1 turret under your belt. You're looking to take some more and actually find a gold advantage through those objectives. Akana going to go for the initiation onto N-. It will not connect. Better call Sala, taking a lot of damage once again. The shockwave onto 3. Serious Empress taking very low, but Sala going to drop immediately. Mycroft going to be the first one to die onto the side of Team 7. It's going to be Zhao going down next one. Menace grabs the kill for that one. Zorak in full retreat. The rest of the Lucker Dogs are there, chasing him down. That's going to be the hunt. That's a double kill going over to Akanda, and that is the Lucker Dogs finding their combination. Shockwave onto 3 people. Xpeke, is that you?
Exactly what you were talking about, Flowers. The execution of those ultimates in the right order, on the right targets. You could be down 10, 15,000 gold and still win a team fight if you chain those things together correctly, and Team 7 has to keep that in mind. Another taunt here.
Zorak finds more damage. Menace now tanking those turret shots once again. He learned his lesson earlier in the game. Not going to want to repeat that one. Mycroft finding the winner's bite onto Akanda. The damage is there. Can Team 7 pursue and make something happen? The zap is not going to be able to do a whole lot. Akanda still in full retreat. Zorak taunt will not be able to connect on that one, but he's trying to frontline this. It's Better Call Saul into the backdrop. The flash is there, and Mycroft is going to drop down. Shapanga taking credit for that one, but Menace in a lot of trouble. The rockets are flying, the bullets are flying, and the body count's going to rise unless Menace can walk away from this one. The Super Mega Death Rocket says no, and that is going to be Team 7 taking the kill death advantage once again.
Both sides have to give so much respect over to the other, and Team 7 knows exactly what the Lucker Dogs can do here, but that did not stop the Lucker Dogs from picking up a kill on their way on the retreat. They had to give up Womenos in order to make it happen. Sure.
Whoa, Shockwave next onto 2. Zhao in a lot of trouble. Better Call Saul going to take the credit over to that one. Serious Empress dropping incredibly low. Dance Surf on find the kill. The ball will not be able to connect. They grab 1. They're looking for 2, but they've got to be careful about chasing into this. They will just walk away with that 1 kill, but a wonderful kill it was.
Better Call Saul is a nightmare with this damage he's pumping out, and he stuns. It's like Team 7 just has so much crowd control coming at them from so many directions, and more to that point, and I think that's why they got caught by that shockwave there, they've got so many important cooldowns to keep in their memory. It's going to be hard to keep track of, and I expect to see them continuing to get surprised by these ultimates that turn the tides of fights here.
The Lucker Dogs now commanding an almost 3,000 gold lead. It's not huge, but if you look at 3,000 gold, it equals one big item in general. Better Cross Sala here going to be spotted out by Mycroft. Zorak nearby, but the rest of the Lucker Dogs going to be able to give their support a little bit of support should she find herself in too much trouble. Going to be able to walk away from that one as Akanda chips away at this turret. That's going to be objective number 4 going over to the Lucker Dogs.
So we're seeing 4 turrets on the side of the Lucker Dogs. Meanwhile, only 1 on the side of Team 7. So, it's
Team 7 doing what they can. Dragon is going to be live for the 3rd time this game here in 1 minute. And this is where the Lucker Dogs are going to start not only fighting for those dragons, but I'm fully expecting them to take them. Around neutral objectives, around Baron, around Dragon, 5v5 Wombo combo teams shine like the brightest star in the night. They're so powerful in those enclosed areas, in those pits, that the team has to commit to take that objective, that Team 7's going to be a little hesitant about trying to take it.
And rightly so. Team 7 has every right to fear that situation right there. I think this is going to be the first dragon in the game going over to Lucker Dogs. These close quarters just really not something Team 7 wants to duke it out in, and I think you see that with their positioning here. They're not wanting to contest the drop of the vision by Lucker Dogs. They're letting them have command over this side of the jungle, letting them get set up, take the Scuttle Crab, eliminate the vision. It's just kind of an early concession.
The amount of vision that the Lucker Dogs have right now is seriously disturbing. It's going to be 1 minute finding the initiation on the Serious Empress. It's a single-man ulti, but is it going to be able to find the kill? The answer is yes. Zorak is in the middle of everyone. A 5-man taunt. Akanda drops low. The Super Mega Death Rock is in the middle of everyone, but it's going to be Ari who drops next. The bullets are flying everywhere. Better Call Saul jumping incredibly low. Zorak now the one who's going to fall. Sala goes down after him. A double kill onto Zhao. Shapanga's under pressure. Mycroft has the Winter's Bite. It's Surf on over the wall trying to make something happen. The knock up onto Zhao. The damage onto Zhao. Shapanga lives. Mycroft is next on the chopping block. It's going to be a pickup onto Shapanga before he goes. And that is going to be a 3-for-5 ace. Lucker Dogs.
So many critical moments in that team fight that Lucker Dogs and Team 7 could have just blown it, could have given it away, and it just came down to the most minuscule execution, and Lucker Dogs barely come out on top. But barely is plenty good enough when it comes to this situation, and they're going to be rewarded with a dragon for their efforts.
Surfon going to be able to take that one. Serious Empress approaching. He's got in minus to help him, but they aren't going to be able to find anything for their trouble. Lucker Dogs clears that one out just in time. They've now got a 4,500 gold lead. They've got a 2-kill lead. They've got a 3-turret lead. The only thing they're down on is dragons, and once again, the difference between 1 dragon and 2 in a team fight is actually nothing.
Now, most of the trouble started for Team 7 after Empress got caught out trying to just put some basic vision down there. And I think that's a critical mistake that Team 7 cannot afford to keep making. If they're going to be going into these situations, and it looked like they had decided as a team to concede that jungle, but apparently the message did not get received by Empress, and he got caught out there. So these small communication issues are going to have to be resolved by Team 7 if they're going to stand up to this composition Lucker Dogs are bringing.
On the other side of the coin, the Lucker Dogs did misplay that last fight slightly due to the fact that they used the Malphite ultimate on only Serious Empress. Yes, they caught her out. Yes, they took her down at the beginning of the fight, but Zorak was able to get in there through the Stand United. He found the multiple person taunt afterwards, and without having that Malphite knockup onto so many different characters, they weren't able to have the same team fight presence Wombo combo that they were looking for. And if they get greedy with those initiations, if they spend those huge AoE abilities on single targets, that's a window for Team 7 to come back into this game.
They certainly took advantage of the opportunity of the fact that a major initiation was down from Lucker Dogs. They made the best out of a bad situation, and I definitely think had that fight been fought on their terms, it would have turned out differently.
Well, Menace going to take a little bit of damage here over taking the brunt of what Team 7 has to offer, but it's going to be the rest of his squad picking up turret number 5. Only one turret left standing for Team 7 outside of those that are in their base, and it's going to be the Lucker Dogs taking more and more control over this map.
They're pushing their way inch by inch, but it just seems like it's going 90 miles an hour. That's already the 5th turret down for Team 7. Only 2 reciprocated on the side of the Lucker Dogs, and they're not even going back to base here. It looks like they're going to try clear out this vision and go for bottom tower.
The vision game being played by Lucker Dogs here can't be understated, and it can't go without praise because they're doing such a good job of setting up wards, setting up vision everywhere where they're going. It looks like a blue Christmas tree in the side of Team 7's jungle just because of how much warding the Lucker Dogs are doing. They've got the double sight stone, and they're using it so well. Surfon looking for some sort of initiation, but all he's going to find is some damage for his troubles, backing up away from that one as Team 7 manages to keep everybody intact.
So they've got the entire line of turrets beaten back all the way to the inhibitors, so we're onto the laser towers now. And will we finally see a back coming from Lucker Dogs? Take a look at them. Several members of their team have over 1,000 gold to spend in their pockets, but no, they're not going to take that avenue out. The flash.
1 minute with the flash on a Sirius Empress and Mycroft. The Spider looking to be squished once again. It's going to be the Shockwave coming out back onto a minute. Be walking away from that one. The Winter's Bite down onto Better Call Sala. Team 7 able to disengage this one so far. It's going to be the Ahri looking to take Annie down, but she's going to be sucked to safety by Callista. Nobody dropping on either team, but a lot of resources spent on both sides.
That was exactly what Team 7 wanted to get. They got Lucker Dogs goofing up, basically. Were not able to capitalize and turn the team fight around, but they staved off the siege. The siege was over before it even began. The flash ult in by Malphite from Womenus started things off well, but it just wasn't executed all that great from there on out.
The problem with the flash initiation from Womenus there, he saw the window and he took it. But the problem was everyone else wasn't able to follow up in the short time frame that they had to follow up. When you initiate on top of the enemy, when they're right by that nice little gate next to the wall in their base, if the CC wears off, they walk through the gate, they get to safety, and to follow them, you then have to flash. Better Call Sala and Sirius Empress might spot each other out here, but that's just not an initiation that the rest of the team of Lucker Dogs was able to capitalize on. Good heads up from Womenus, but the communication's where it fell apart.
Resources regenerating for Lucker Dogs here. They're going to want to get those ultimates back off cooldown, about another 30 seconds, and they should be good to go for another try at it. The charge stunned up on Annie already. The double sight stone working its magic for Lucker Dogs as well. They are turning around, getting a lot of vision around this Baron pit. Only a minute on Dragon to go, though, so either objective up in the air.
This is what we see teams start to do. Once you take out all 6 of those outer turrets, it's so hard to actually try to dive through those inhibitor turrets, through those lasers that scale up in damage, that they're going to have to look for those neutral objectives first. Zorak with the board into the wall. It's going to be the Timbers missing onto everyone. Mycroft with a wonderful fissure trying to drop that defensively. The Flame Chompers are down. The Malphite initiation finds 4. It's going to be Mycroft, the first casualty of this fight for minutes. Now tied up into a cocoon, but a wonderful shockwave on it too. Zhao is dead. Ahri is dead. The entirety of Team 7 is dead. Sirius Empress stands alone. Lucker Dogs, what a combo!
You would not know, looking at only the results, that the initiation of that team fight was off point for Lucker Dogs. They turned it around. The Malphite ult came with, once again, with the entirety of Lucker Dogs away from being able to follow up on it. It didn't matter. They swooped in with the remaining ultimates, crowd control damage, were able to clean up off the back of that failed first wave initiation.
Good call by Lucker Dogs to back up here. The respawn timers on Team 7 are still very, very short. They're all going to be up in time to save that inhibitor. But yeah, the Tibbers in that last fight was a complete whiff. It didn't hit anything. But the Malphite ulti onto 4 and the Orianna ulti onto both carries saved it. It's going to be the initiation once again coming out from the Lucker Dogs. And Zhao melts immediately. Surfon doing so much damage in his backline. This is Sala going to drop to Sirius Empress. The Spider being squished next. It's going to be Ahri under pressure. The Stand United looking to keep her alive. Sirius Empress is dead. Zhao is dead. Can they keep anyone else alive. Zorak being riddled with spears. He's a pin cushion. Mycroft gonna be able to get away from this one, but just barely. Akonda needs to do that rim. 2 men from Team 7 walking away with under 100 HP as the rest of the Lucker Dogs look to take that inhibitor that they were denied just minutes ago.
These team fights are firing off like a machine gun. One initiation after the other. We can't stop talking about one before the next one starts. There's just so much action going on here, and a lot of things getting fired off. That fight before the Annie ultimate, the Tibbers just whiffed it completely. The Malphite ultimate landed on the floor, but no follow-up from the rest of the team, and you were still able to see them follow it up there. These skirmishes, even though they're not holding on to their ultimates, they're blown on these fights, they're still able to get these plays off on each other, put kills in their pockets, get objectives, and another dragon goes over to Lucker Dogs, so they've evened that up now, 2-2.
The Lucker Dogs are booking up the right tree with this Wombo combo composition. I absolutely love it. Aside from the occasional misplay, even if they misplay it a little bit, the other members of the team are there to make up for it and find the combination potential. Zhao is not able to keep himself alive in these fights through this. He's the member of Team 7 with the most deaths, and this is what I was talking about getting out drafted. It's something that's talked about in a lot of other esports and something that's not covered nearly enough in League of Legends competitive discussion, is just how hard a team can be at a disadvantage based on what they drafted. Sala now sped up by the Orianna looking for an initiation, not going to be able to find it. Serious Empress walks away from that one, but the Lucker Dogs are on the hunt. They want blood. They've got the potential to take this Baron, and they want to do just that. The inhibitor middle is still down. They're looking for their window.
All ultimates up on the side of the Lucker Dogs. Stand United, the only one on the map, still not yet off cooldown. That's going to be important if Lucker Dogs decide to engage this Baron in the next 20 seconds.
Akonda trying to get the initiation here in minus. Going to be able to walk away from Sala, not take any damage from that one so far. Sala actually going to be the one who takes the most from that trade. The rest of the Lucker Dogs going to have to walk away, but they still are trying to make this Baron play happen. They want to abuse this. They don't want to just try to dive under an inhibitor turret. When you've only got one inhibitor down, if the enemy has decent enough wave clear, they can actually still defend the second one relatively easily as long as they've got the turret, and it's going to be the Lucker Dogs looking to take Baron, looking to break the base that way. The rest of Team 7 has to show up and challenge this. They cannot give this objective away. Serious Empress over the wall, looking to try to steal this one. The repel is going to go up, but blue team secures Baron. Naturally, Serious Empress gets crushed immediately. The rest of the Lucker Dogs now in hot pursuit. Surfon going to be able to walk away from those orbs. Zorak now the potential target. The ball's going to come out, but that's not going to be able to connect. Mycroft throwing those Winter's Bites backwards, trying to keep his team alive. Sal's going to go heal up. The rest of the Lucker Dogs are just going to take control, clear out vision, and set up for their push.
That was played very conservatively and exactly the way Lucker Dogs needed to play it. They jumped in over the wall after the Baron was secured, got the chase off. They were just in a perfect position to pull it off. Really wasn't much Team 7 could do to contest. They just arrived to the game a little bit too late.
Team 7 now in their most dire straits this game. They've got to defend against a 10k gold deficit as well as a Baron, and it's going to beat the Lucker Dogs looking to just break this base wide open right here. Malphite's still in the bot lane. He doesn't have his teleport. The Lucker Dogs got to be really careful about this. The rest of Team 7 could go for an initiation here. Zorak with the flash over the wall, not going to be able to find anything from it. That's a huge summoner to not have available. Zorak, come on!
With 200 farm and 4 kills onto Akonda right now, he's a nightmare. He's even shredding through the tanks on Team 7. They're going to find it very hard to stave off this siege. Their wave clear is doing good enough, but look at this work that Akonda is doing just in between on these targets here. He is on the front line. He has no front line. He is the AD carry on the front line, and Team 7 is just afraid to get in there and mix it up.
Stand United now used on Zhao. That's not going to be available for the next fight. And Team 7 is just, you can tell that the disadvantage that they're working with is starting to wear on them. It's starting to affect them mentally because they've burned both a Shen Flash and a Shen ulti for nothing so far. And Menace now looking to win this 1v1 here against Zorak. He actually does do some damage now, and he's going to start beating on this inhibitor. Bottom inhibitor is actually the most important one in the game to be able to acquire. It's the one that makes it so when the next Baron spawns, you've got the most control over that area due to forcing enemy players into the bottom half of the map. And it's going to be the Lucker Dogs taking down inhibitor number 2, still staying grouped up as 5, looking for the death wall to try to catch someone.
Not quite going back just yet. That'll be 1 back for the Lucker Dogs. Rest of them going to take that purple ride. Baron's going to get him back to base in a jiffy, but 2 inhibitors down off that push. Could have gone for more, but decided to play it safe, and probably well played on their part. Inhibitor just now respawning in the middle lane. So that'll be another objective worth fighting over as the ultimates come back available for Lucker Dogs.
And again, what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to make sure was crystal clear in both the team select and in the game now is the fact that if these roles were reversed, if Team 7 was currently up 10,000 gold and 2 inhibitors over the Lucker Dogs, the Lucker Dogs would still have a way back into this game. They would still have the wombo combo potential. They'd still have that 1 in 100 shot to be able to win the game. At this point, this is the Lucker Dogs game to lose. There's no play that Team 7 makes that wins them this game. The play that wins Team 7 this game is the Lucker Dogs throwing.
They've got their sights on this inhibitor here. Team 7 cannot do anything about it. It's almost like they're going to have to just fall back to the double inhibitor turrets. At this point, they've got 1 tower left up top. Might be able to defend it, but Lucker Dogs getting control.
This could be
of this
disastrous. The
rush.
flash from Menace going to find its way onto Zhao. It's a 1-man, but it's the 1-man you need. They're going to be able to bring him down immediately. The rest of the health bars just melting away on the side of Team 7. Zorak going to drop. It's a 3 for 0 so far. The Lucker Dogs are on the hunt. Serious Empress going to be the next target of that aggression. The orb comes out, but it's not going to do nearly enough. Akanda taking a lot of damage from that beam. Serious Empress going to take a little bit more damage from that Prey Seeker, but the rest of the Lucker Dogs looking to end this game right here, right now. Nexus turret number 1 is going to fall. Nexus turret number 2, you're next on the menu. Half HP, going to be down to a 3rd HP. Going to be down to almost nothing. Serious Empress, Spider Spit, trying to do what she can to save this base, but the Nexus is all that remains. It's a 5 versus 2. The Flash Charm's going to be able to grab a kill onto Better Karsala, but it's going to be Serious Empress dropping so low. The Nexus dies before she does. GG, well played. Lucker Dogs take it. 32 minutes.
Very well played on the part of Lucker Dogs, getting in there with that composition and using it. I don't even want to say to its full effect, because they didn't use it to its full effect. There wasn't a moment where in the game where they chained everything they needed to together. It was more like they missed with something, then followed it up with another thing that worked, maybe missed with another thing, and well, we won the team fight anyway because their synergy together with all of their abilities was just that powerful.
Shapanga, the man of the hour, if you ask me. The Lucker Dog, who was the leader of the pack, making shockwave after shockwave onto multiple people, and not just multiple people, but multiple people that mattered. Ahri and Jinx constantly being hit by those, thrown out of position, and set up for the rest of the team to capitalize on. Once again, GG well played to everybody involved. Stay right there if you're watching this in Twitch chat, because we are going to be back here in about 8 minutes for the next game. It's going to be the Dream Killers versus Space Age Wizards. You don't want to miss it. Stay right there.